All of these big dick deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way. The truth is the light.
This year is the year of the Predator and exposés, the year of the Beast, if you will. But before we can even get to more of the Mrbeast allegations, let's remember that this year started with Vosh getting exposed for liking Lolly and the largest limb on horses.
This is an example of the kind of structure that I'm referring to.
And it only got worse as the year has gone on. It was an innocent time back then, and now some of the villains are coming back from previous seasons of To Catch a Predator. One of the most recent ones said that they'd take a break for a while. He's now returning, trying to own people with these weak insults, saying you're depressed, to people accusing him of being a pedo. Like that's some kind of own. You were talking to kids. There's nothing you can really say back to that. It's not some 4D chess move. No one would ever admit that unless they actually did it. So I don't know if he's coming back to streaming. He probably will though, since he's deleted that tweet admitting it, and all of his fans are gonna go, see, I told you. Look, it never really happened, like the Quartering Geeks and Gamers and a bunch of others who only believe in trans pedos. But anyway, at the same time he was coming back with that now deleted tweet, EDP was coming back with a new YouTube channel and complaining that YouTube keeps taking down his videos whenever he tries to make them. He also admitted that he has a small dick, so maybe he's the victim, I don't know. This was of course around the same time that Chris Tyson allegations were coming out, and we're now living in the post-Mrbeast allegations world where Feastables aren't even worth it. If you want to support child abuse and have a sweet treat, there's better options. Just eat any Nestle chocolate bar. The labour that goes into that is what makes it taste so good, not the pedophilia. The allegations seem to be coming out of left and right from ex-employees of Mrbeast. Dogpack 404 came out with the illegal lotteries video, and then he interviewed another ex-employee who said that another ex-employee was hired after being known for SA, which was then confirmed by the dude's brother-in-law who says that Mrbeast knew this guy was an SAist.
Here's the truth. Yes, Delaware is my brother-in-law. Yes, he is a RSO, registered offender, by the way. When he was 21, a 16-year-old girl accused him and others of SA. When she was 11, Delaware took a plea deal. That's why there's no jail time, but he still had to register. His nickname isn't Delaware because he can't go back to Delaware. He's from Delaware. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. He's been back several times. He was hired before I was, and was actually the reason I got hired at Mrbeast. Before being hired, Delaware sat down with Jimmy and Sue, Jimmy's mom, and explained to them everything. So yeah, Jimmy knew.
And they still let him work there even though the brand is for children and these people would have had interactions with their child audience over the years. And because this is a YouTube channel, there's no oversight, there's no standard that these people should be held to. This is what a background check is for when you hire someone. But this guy admitted what had happened to Jimmy and his mum's face, and they still hired him and put him in videos for kids. It doesn't seem to matter what level of degenerate you are, there's always a chance that you could get a job selling diabetes to kids. Also, the same guy that Dogpack interviewed was subjected to sleep deprivation when he was working there, which is actual torture, like getting your news from Asmongold.
Mrbeast committed a war crime?
Of course he did. I believe it.
Absolutely.
Context. In Dogpack's new expose video on Mrbeast, an ex-employee reveals his experience on a previously unreleased video where the contestant had to live 100 days in solitary confinement to win up to $1 million.
And it got to a point where, like, they weren't turning the lights off. You know, I asked them, I said, can we, like, have, like, nighttime hours?
Yeah.
You know? And they said no, because it would fuck up the time-lapse shots. The time-lapse of what? Me sleeping? Or me not sleeping? One of the things was you got to take away your clock so you didn't know what time it was. Okay, yeah. I got no access to sun. I got no access to clock.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, the lights are on me all the time. I wasn't sleeping. I could not sleep. And I have insomnia problems now. I had good people looking out for me. I had a lot of good people looking out for me saying, this, we got to stop. So I just wanted to turn the lights off. And I'm vocalizing to people, I wish the light would turn off. And I go up to my friend, my good friend. And I go, they're not turning the lights off. He goes, what? That's a war crime. We're not allowed to do that to terrorists.
Well, it's fine to do it to him because he's not a terrorist. The UN considers sleep deprivation to be a form of torture and a war crime under the Geneva Convention.
Oh, good. 24 hours breaking the Geneva Convention, I guess, is what we're doing.
And after all of that, Ethan Klein interviewed another ex-employee who says that Mr. Beast and Ava Chris Tyson used to make jokes about an ex-Mr. Beast manager's child.
Constantly. And I remember Roseanne also got mega shit on when she called into our show.
Yeah, and so a funny antidote I had was, no one has ever said this, and it's why Delaware actually needed to come in. It was because at the time, the first manager that ever worked there, his name was Dan. Sorry, Dan. And he was actually a really good guy, but everyone was consistently making these jokes wildly inappropriate about his 5-year-old kid.
Ew.
And so,
Whoa.
I know.
Like what?
And so, gonna go home and fuck insert name.
What?
The craziest thing.
Who was saying that?
I know. Well, Ava, Jimmy, it was the thing. It was funny edgelord kids, which is crazy.
So hold on. This guy Dan is just a normal ass dude with a daughter.
Son, but yeah.
A son. And so they were all joking about
They would
having
make these
sex
crazy
with his
jokes, and
child.
one day we were filming the video playing Fortnite in the middle of the ocean, and one too many jokes got said, and bro flipped. Understandably, he couldn't take it anymore, and he took a cameraman and he threw him into the water, and it was a whole big problem. And so then the next day, he was fired. Delaware came in a week later, and it's so funny how this same environment that we're around kids all the time, that's his fan base, and then he brings in Delaware. There's this fostered environment with Lolly that they all think is so funny, and it's the combination that doesn't sit very well when you add all three of those things up. So yeah, it was just nuts. I think Cody Coach should start working there.
Jokes aren't a crime unless you're Joe Rogan. In that case, your jokes break the Geneva Convention, which is something we know Jimbo isn't against. So jokes aren't serious, but it's not a good look that this company seems to have this weird work environment where they hire offenders, support lolly artists, have inappropriate conversations with children, and on the job they joke about touching up fellow employees' children. If Ava Chris Tyson said that they were going to touch my kid, well actually, YouTube would take my video down again if I say that. Has anyone ever seen the original I Spit on Your Grave movie? The bathtub scene I'm talking about? Although I'm not sure Ava still has a dick. And when it comes to his reboot of the Fire Festival, which was clearly worse than the original in every way, like most reboots are, with the lack of food, women forced to wear bloody pads on their pussies, confiscated medicine, people breaking each other's bones, and all kinds of crazy shit that I'm sure you've heard by now. But let's be honest, the real reason that this was worse is that Mr. Beast could have afforded Ja Rule. It's taken Amazon admitting what the media had already reported on and what's been going on behind the scenes for certain people to even acknowledge what's going on, like August the Duck, who was acting like there wasn't any evidence of this going on. Even though there are multiple people who were there and have talked about this and their experiences on the set, there's articles from last month even that confirm most of the contestant complaints. They confirmed that there was a lack of medical personnel there for the magnitude of this Mr. Beast event, as well as multiple medical emergencies that occurred at the event. But of course, it's not important until it's completely obvious, like when it's so bad that Amazon insiders come out and have to admit it, because their word means more than dozens of contestants and medical personnel. And I believe that's the only thing that had changed on that front when he made that video apologizing. Like, I don't believe there was any more damning evidence at that time, just that Amazon insiders admitted what we already knew. It's fine if you want evidence before you condemn someone, but when there's already evidence available, I think you are kind of downplaying it, or you're just too lazy to look. An event run by some YouTuber with no real oversight, barely any medical staff, combined with 2,000 people running around and competing all at once, and all the evidence that's currently available isn't enough for you to admit that something went wrong? I don't think you need to be a genius to see the outcome of that. I'm fine with being neutral, but if that's your take, maybe don't make a video on the situation until you've done the smallest bit of research. It's not like you're going to be criticised for not responding to this situation when you did to all of the other ones. No one's going to accuse you of simping for this dude. Just shut up and do some research. So that was a bit of a tangent, but now that everyone agrees that this dude fucked up and endangered thousands of people on top of everything else, we can move on to some more information from behind the scenes, like the Mrbeast employee manual, which was revealed by this Rosanna chick, who I believe was one of the first people to talk about the Amazon Fire Fest event. I'm not going to bore you with every line, but assuming that this is real, there's so much shit here that just shows how incompetent he is, his disdain for his employees, as well as the power that he holds over them. This dumb fuck wrote some of the dumbest shit ever, in the dumbest way you could. He explained the salesman tactic of not taking no for an answer by wording it as no means no, which given his recent history is probably something you don't want to joke about. Remember, they make content for kids, yet they can't stay away from making these weird pedo jokes. But this basically means you as an employee are supposed to pressure people who are working at other businesses so that you can make content there and potentially get them fired because fuck them.
No does not mean no. For the people out there who are saying, he's not edgy anymore, he's learned, this document is pretty new and references some of his newer videos. He has not learned. This is who he is. So the title No Does Not Mean No is a very obvious reference to essay. Instead of communicating in a professional manner, saying be persistent when you're producing or working, no does not mean no is the company culture of Mrbeast. When dealing with people outside Mrbeast Productions, never take no at face value. If we need a store to buy everything inside and you call the local Dollar Tree and the person that answers says, no, you can't film here, that literally doesn't mean shit. Talk to other employees and see if any are fans or if any have kids that are fans. Try talking to their boss's boss. Have me DM them on Twitter and try their social team, etc. If all the other avenues are exhausted and you are left with a no, that doesn't mean don't try the other Dollar Trees, because the manager of those could be huge fans and willing to bend the rules. This is literally so disgusting because this is putting everyday working people's jobs at stake. If it's a company policy not to film there and you're pressuring them to do so, they could get in trouble. They could lose their jobs. That's their income, that's their livelihood. And for what, a YouTube video? You are not more important than any other person in this world.
There's a whole part in here where he's saying you have to do whatever it takes as an employee to make sure that Mrbeast gets what he wants.
Page 18, nothing comes before your priorities. When you're being assigned tasks, you should have what I call a prio list. If Ali says your prios are to 1. Get a Lamborghini under 200K. 2. Get it wrapped in anime characters. 3. Make a custom steering wheel. Then nothing on this freaking planet is allowed to come between you and getting those priorities done. If the other team asks for your help and you spend 2 days helping them and fall behind on getting your Lamborghini secured, that's your fault. If the studio is burning down and you stop working to put out the fire and don't get the Lamborghini, that's your fault. Parentheses, jokes, ha ha ha. But seriously, don't let anything come before your prios.
He makes a quote-unquote joke that if the studio was burning down and you don't get the Lambo that he wants, that's your fault. Now, if a boss or anyone else who has any kind of power says that and tries to play it off as some kind of cheeky joke, they're being serious, and as an employee, you're going to take them very seriously because they've even hinted at it, because you know, you want to keep your job, so people are going to prioritize your content over their safety. You can check out the rest of her video if you want to see that. It's really good, you should watch it. So the Mrbeast allegations keep stacking up. His reputation will never be repaired in the public's eye, but unfortunately, it's not going to affect him that much because he's almost too big to fail. His audience is children who aren't ever going to see any of this stuff exposing him. So similar to Dr. Disrespect's audience, they can basically ignore most of this. But the year's not over, so there's still time for more people to be exposed before Christmas time.
Who's next?